Hey guys, welcome back. Part 3 here of the lovely Copper State Models Lanchester. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button and hit the notifications bell if you want to get alerts of whenever I load a new review or whatever. There's a lot coming up, there's a lot been going on, and there'll be a lot more coming up soon because I finish work in a couple of weeks. So right, we've got the wheels off the sprue. We need to clean up the sprue nibs. So obviously using our little skinny sander, just remove the sprue nibs. Don't just go straight into sanding the tyre leaving the sprue nibs on there, because all you'll do is end up with little rounded off lumps. So then I come along with you've got a floory soft sander like this, is soft-ish. But I find something like this is slightly better. It's a coarse, I say it's about I don't know, it's a 240 grit. On a soft sponge base. These are sold by Models for sale in like a kit of all the different sanders you can get. There's a blue one which is a bit finer, and there's an orange one which is I think a bit coarser. But they're great because they last for a very long time, and all you do is you go around the tyre like this and you just take off that mould seam, and because it's soft and spongy you won't end up with flat spots on the tyre as long as you remember to take those nibs off first. Of course, then once you've done that, you end up with a mould seam still in between the treads. So the way I get rid of that is take some Tamiya Extra Thin or plastic weld or whatever liquid cement you use, and just wet it like that to soften the plastic and brush it over. And it's as simple as that. Don't put so much on that it drips off and runs onto your fingers, because you'll damage the spoke pattern. But that's all I'm doing, is going around like this, and then nearly finished. A bit too much there. And dries in a second, so that's practically dry now. No, it's not. So I could just go over it again and reshape that plastic. Well, this side is dry, and you can see that mould seam is all but gone. Once it's painted with some tyre black paint or the rubber grey, whatever colour these tyres would have been, then it'll be it'll look lovely. And just before I go, I mean, I've cleaned up these inner spokes as well, and we've got valves to go in yet. You've got a little hole in there for the valve to sit in. There's a hole in there for the valve to sit in. So the valve stem will actually end up in the middle of the rim, and that goes in like that. And you can see these little spoke wheels for plastic injection wheels. They're beautiful. So yeah, I'll get all these together and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so wheels are all done now, and they're built up with a little valve in them, as you can see in there. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but there is a little valve in there, and each one's got one. You don't get any spares, so if you lose one, the Carpet Monster will get it because they're tiny. And don't ask me now how I know. One of these wheels has got a piece of sprue as a valve. So there we go, we've pretty much done now. If you remember these headlights, I put the clear fix in them, and again I've had this reaction, so I don't know if it's just bubbles that develop in it or whatever, but it doesn't really matter, because all I've got to do on here is put these headlight shields in. Now obviously I wanted it to look like, when you look in through the hole in the headlight shield, I wanted you to see the actual something shiny behind it, like a glass lens or whatever. So what I've done is put that clear fix in there, and on the actual headlight cover what I've done is put a tiny piece of masking tape on the back, and then what I'll do is I'll glue these onto the headlight like so, like that, and then light's playing up with that, and then once the paint's gone on and it's all finished, I can just push that with a cocktail stick, and hopefully it'll just fall to the bottom, or I can just push it down to the bottom with a pin or something, and then you'll see the actual clear lens through there. So I need to get those on in a second. I don't remember if I showed you the last time. I've actually now soldered that on, the actual support for the front mudguard. Rear bracket is all done. I still haven't done this wood painting, and turret is pretty much done. Now I need to do the wood on there, and I also need to do these planks, these unditching planks that go on the sides. They just clip in here between the front and rear fenders. They go on like that, they're obviously wood as well. So I need to wood grain those. And in case you haven't seen this before, this is how I do wood grain. I take the coarse side of my JLC sanding saw blade, and then I just literally stroke along it, and I don't do it in dead straight lines. I tend to waver it around like this, and that gives me a pretty good wood grain effect, which will, when I paint it afterwards with the oils and stuff, it'll make it look pretty good. So that's that done. And then the same on this one. If you saw my ambulance video, you've seen this, how I do this again anyway. So there we go. So I need to get these painted up now. I'll paint these in a Tamiya buff colour, and then use some oil on them. So I should have done this before really, because this now means I need to leave it overnight again. So yeah, so I'll see you back in a second. Just a couple of points, guys, before I get the paint out. Just looking at this, if you remember, I tried building this, fitting these toolbox fenders, toolbox carrier things on. Yeah, don't try and do what I did, because it just becomes a nightmare trying to get them to line up with the rear plate here and these front fenders and everything. So build it as per the instructions, fit this plate onto the back of the wooden deck. Those fenders are 27.5mm long, so make sure you've got this about right so that when it goes back together it'll be okay. The other thing is, I noticed that the way these brackets are made, you can see it here, they kind of hook under the chassis here over the top and then go into the side here. So they're like that, they kind of hook in and over the top. As a result, because of, I don't know, maybe it's something I did wrong, but they were actually like this, they were sticking out this way. So what I've done is actually cut it with a saw here, there you can see, and then I've inserted a piece of 0.5 plastic card just to push the bottom out to make them stand vertical, because they wouldn't stand vertical before. So something worth looking at when you're building this. You either need to take some plastic off of this leg here to allow it to sit further out, allow these points to be further out, or do what I've done, just cut it and extend the leg. So I'm just going to wait for that to go off now on there where that's fitted on, and then I can get these wooden parts painted up. I also need to see if these were actually wood as well, and then I need to do them the same. So since I was on camera, I've put the front fenders on, and don't they look lovely? They do look very nice. They're actually quite tough. You can knock them about. I was thinking about bending them about, but this is such a lovely little model. I think I'm going to do it with minimum weathering rather than plaster it in mud. It's a lovely little kit. It really is very, very nice. It goes together a dream. The only bit that's gone wrong so far is the bit that cocked up because I tried to be clever and change the assembly order and it doesn't work. So there we go. Right, I'll see you in a minute after I've painted these wooden parts. Right, so there's the wood painted. We can see the rear deck there, and we've got the boards on the sides, and they're still wet. So let them go off a bit and then do a bit more work, add some washes to them and stuff, dirty them up. So yeah, I'll have to leave it there, because what I need to do now is glue this part into the back of the car to like so that I can add the rear fenders and stuff and the toolboxes. I did look online and it does look as though the boxes and the fenders are made of metal, so no wood graining going on there. So yeah, let that go off. That's going to take a couple of days and then I'll get back to it. Right, so where did we get to? The wood's painted, the wood's dried. It's now had a coat of matte varnish on it. As you can see, it looks very realistic. This is going to be hairsprayed and then scratched up. These here, it looks like weren't painted at all, these barge boards. So basically what I've done here, XF23, the Admiralty grey colour, I've painted it in around the back here so that when I put this in, I don't need to concentrate too much on painting in the nooks and crannies, because obviously I don't want a heavy coat of paint on there if I'm going to be doing some scratching on it. So that's got to be glued in there. And then these, I'll leave these out until the end. They just slot in here. These are the unditching beams, and they actually fit beautifully. Just clip in there, you don't need to glue them. And yeah, they sit in there like that. So got nice brackets on the end and everything. So yeah, it's all going to look very, very nice when it all comes together, I think. So as I say, I don't intend to beat the shit out of it with weathering. I just tend to put some dust and dirt on it. I don't want to sort of plaster it in mud and everything, because some of the detail on this kit is gorgeous, you know, and this little metal bucket and everything. So yeah, so there we go. I'll just get this together and I'll be back in a sec. Right, so looking at PE again. Got these panels here which go in at the rear. You can see I've fitted one there. And then we've got the rear mudguards. We've got the Belgian type and the British type. I'm going to be using the British type. You can see them depicted here, either one. The British is the shorter one. So right, let's get one of these. I've done, as you can see, I've done one. This is extremely thin. I don't, because they've got these holes in it, I don't know if it's trying to depict if it's linen or something, I don't know. I'll have to do some research. But yeah, just put that in the folder there. Grab a razor blade, fold it over, and then do the same on the other side. This other side folds the same way. Actually, I must say, this whole PE set is a joy to work with. It fits really well. Unlike some other manufacturers that I won't mention, not Edhard, I love Edhards, but yeah, there's some other manufacturers that I don't think are quite as good as this fit wise. Look at my Valkyrie build and you'll see what I mean. So just getting that in position there, that's fallen into place like that. Check it straight, yeah, and then grab my, where's my modeling knife for the curved blade? Modeling knife with the curved blade, touch it in the super glue, touch the super glue into there like that, and it capillaries under. Same again here. There you go, guys. You don't need special tools for putting super glue on, you've already got them. And then cotton bud over the top of it, get up any excess. That's that done. And then that there just needs to be pushed in and down a touch. Sorry, that side's already done. I've actually glued that in a bit too far, which has made it. Let's see if I can get a knife under there. Yeah, I can. There you go. Just peel it away. So yeah, it needs to be closer to the edge. In fact, what I'll do this time, I'll glue the bottom first. See, you get my cock-ups and all on here, look. Most people would have edited that out, wouldn't they? So, in with the glue in there, didn't get any on there. In like so, push it down. Cotton bud over the top, soak up any excess. There's a little trick I learned off of Phil Flory, that one. And then again, knife in the super glue under there, push it down, job done. In there again, I don't know if you can hear it, it's absolutely blowing a gale outside here today. And I am petrified of wind, always have been, don't like it. And it puts me on edge. And there we go, so that's those in. Lovely. Look at those rear mudguards now. Right, here's the mudguards, and as you can see, one has been rolled and one hasn't. So I'll show you how I do this. Before we start, Copper State models thoughtfully give you this guide here, which is like an etched line in the fret, and then what this enables you to do, I hope I can show you better off using a pair of tweezers I expect, is you can actually fold the brass, and then you can roll the brass until it fits in that etched recess, which is a nice touch. So all I'm using here is a soft, this is a soft Flory model sanding stick, and then I'm taking a model knife handle, and just pushing it down in the middle and rolling it slightly, not going right to the end. This isn't like making a cylinder, you actually want straight ends on this, and what you're after is the ends to be 90 degrees to each other. So I'm pushing quite hard, and then we'll just try that in that recess, and we can see that we're very close. Just needs a bit more on the front here, and there we go. And I've just noticed this one is actually a little bit off on an angle, so I'm not going to worry about it too much, because in reality they would have been probably ripped off within 10 minutes anyway. And I'm just going to rough up the surface where it glues on, because otherwise they'll just keep getting pinged off. Super glue isn't the, oh, I've just straightened that one out. Super glue isn't the best medium for sticking brass. The best way is to solder it, but obviously this is going onto plastic, so I can't. So yeah, that caught the edge of the sanding stick then, and then bent itself straight again. So there we go. So I'm just going to, where's my knife? I'm just going to put some super glue on here, like so, not too much, and then this can go up under here, and it does actually stick out. So that can go on like that, and then the next one, put some glue on here this time, and then getting them even Stevens if I can. There we go. Now, just to give those a little bit of a backup, and as it is under a wheel arch, I'm going to put some glue in the seam there. Oops, that's just fallen straight off again, so obviously I didn't have enough glue on there to start with. Every time I put the camera on, something goes wrong, so it's your fault, guys. It is your fault that things go wrong. If I didn't do this, everything would go perfectly right. There we go, got some more glue in there now. Quick wipe the cotton bud, get rid of the excess. And there, as I say, I made too much fuss about them, because they're probably getting knocked off within 10 minutes anyway. But no, they're going to get knocked about and bent about in real life anyway, so they would never have been perfect. Then we've got the toolboxes to go on. They're already cleaned up, so they're just going to pop on there like that, and then a bit of extra thin. I commented on SM last night, you know, I don't think people realise how difficult it is doing these builds online, and everybody's been asking Paul, you know, every kit he's got, can he please do a build online? And yeah, people don't realise how difficult it is doing this. It's not easy when you're trying to work with a camera in between you and the job. And you know, especially like me, I'm used to working with a magnifier. Of course, I can't have a magnifier, because then you guys won't be able to see what I'm doing. So that's that. I do believe those wheel arches have got a bit of an angle to them. Never mind, I'm not sure they should have, but they're equal, so who cares? I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine. So that's that pretty much. Just put the turret on. Like so. And then these go in here. They fit absolutely beautifully. When you think of the number of parts involved in getting those to go in. The bucket can go in there. That's obviously got to be glued on. That's the visor that goes over the windscreen. And then there's an armour plate to go on the front. We've got 2 wheels per side on the back. And then we've got 1 wheel per side on the front. So with that sat like that, no, too high. There we go, people. There is the Lanchester World War I Armoured Car. Built, finished, ready for paint practically. Practically finished and ready for paint, should I say. I need to take some bits apart, paint it, and then start the weathering. So I think what I'll do is I'll get the paint on, and then we'll have a part 4 which will be finishing off the painting, weathering, and the completed build. So yeah, it's a lovely, beautiful little kit. It really is gorgeous, and it goes together really well. And it's not the biggest of models, but it's probably about the same size as a short wheelbase Land Rover, I'd say. And yeah, it's I mean, I'll give you an idea of how big it is. There's a Kuba wagon, the 35th scale. So we can see there how big they are together. Not a lot of difference in size actually. So the old Lanchester wasn't a very big vehicle. Let's get the top back on the glue, it stinks. So that's that. Thanks for watching that. That was part 3. All I've got to do now is I need to get some etch primer on all these metal parts because it's covered in them. Get the wood bits off, do some hairspray, spray it all over grey, do the wheels and tyres, get them on, and then start doing some weathering. So I'll see you once I've got it sprayed grey. Probably show you how I do my tyres and stuff, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so thanks for watching. If you like this, subscribe. It's, what is it today? December the 15th. Today, tomorrow, or by Monday, I'm going to be starting a buddy build with Road Hobby Corner with Ben on a Krupp A7V World War I tank. So if you want to join in that, or you just want to come and watch, then feel free. And see you then. Bye bye.